Hey ladies, today is Sunday, February 16th, 2020. It is actually the last day of 31 weeks postpartum for me. So technically tomorrow, Michaela will be 32 weeks, and I've been meaning to record this video earlier, but things have just been so hectic. If you recall in my last video, I told you that I would be returning to work on Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. That did not happen. I can't say unfortunately it didn't happen because I really didn't want to go. Anyway, I've been struggling with guilt and a lot of feelings about leaving her anyway. So, but I think I would have rather gone than have her sick. So on Thursday, February 13th, Michaela woke up with 103-degree fever. So, of course, we went to the doctor to try to figure out what was going on. I don't really have an answer for what was going on. So, we spent all day in the doctor's office on Thursday, and then the doctor did a flu test and it came back negative. She said it could be a false negative. Maybe she does have the flu. I don't understand how she could have the flu because she hadn't been around anybody with the flu. She hadn't been around anybody who was even remotely sick or ill, and she hadn't really been out of the house that much. Means winter here is pretty cold, so she's not in daycare, so she hasn't really been out like that. So, I've been kind of fiercely protective of her in that way. So it is weird that that the doctor thought it could be the flu. Also, we did get the flu shot 2 weeks ago on January 28th. But she will be due for a booster to the flu shot in about 2 weeks, which now I'm like, should I get that booster or not? It's kind of, I'm debating whether to get the booster because I'm concerned about whether the flu shot itself even caused her to get this fever. I know it's been 2 weeks since she had the actual flu shot, but I can't find an explanation. The doctor kept saying that she thought the temperature was viral. She did some other tests. They put a bag on Michaela so that they could collect her urine, and they did a test on the urine and it came back negative for whatever virus they were testing the urine for. So she didn't have any viruses. I brought her to the doctor. The fever was 103. I did not give her Motrin before bringing her. I did give her Motrin the night before because the night before her fever was like 101, and I gave her Motrin and I checked her temperature again in the middle of the night and it was normal. But then when we woke up on Thursday, it was 103. I just took her to the doctor. I didn't want to give her anything because I didn't know whether the medication I would be giving her would interfere with anything they would do. But then when I arrived at the doctor's office, they said that the front desk said I should have probably given her Motrin before bringing her, just because they've had issues where children have had seizures from having high fevers and sitting in the waiting room. So now I know I should have just given her the Motrin and brought her there, but it didn't matter. Like, we were really one of the first people in the office that day, and we just walked in and they gave her Motrin immediately because she's so young and had that fever. They just gave it to her immediately, and the fever did end up going down. By the time we left the doctor's office, we were there for about 4 hours. Over 4 hours actually, by the time we left, her fever was normal. She was at 98.6. Her temperature was normal, let me put it that way. She was at 98.6. But the doctor did advise that the fever would probably come back, and it did later. Once she just sent us home with instructions to basically give her Motrin and Tylenol. So Motrin, she told us we can give her every 6 hours, and Tylenol we could give every 4 hours. So you could actually do both, which is what she was telling us. So like Motrin, for example, if I gave it to her at 12, I would check her temperature again maybe an hour, 2 hours later, and then if needed, I'd give her the Tylenol. And so then maybe 6 hours from the Motrin. I can give her more Motrin in 4 hours from Tylenol. I can give her more Tylenol. So, like, that's basically how we were running it. The doctor also advised that we could put a cool towel or cloth on her and give her like a cool bath if necessary. If none of that worked, to take her to the hospital, the emergency room. And we just give her lots of fluids. So I, earlier in the week, had noticed that her poop was changing somewhat and was becoming a little more liquidy, not necessarily diarrhea. It was, since she started solids, her poop has been all over the place, and she was having like hard poop. Like, looks like little turds. Exactly. Sorry, no other way I can figure out to explain it. And then what ended up happening during the course of this week was it became more like pasty, like peanut butter, and then it became more like applesauce like, and then so that's what it was when we got to the doctor. But I was concerned that it was becoming more loose. I showed the doctor a diaper that had like an applesauce consistency poop, which she said was fine. It was crazy though. As soon as we left the doctor, matter of fact, while we were there, she had a poop that was a little more runny, which was also written off to be fine. But by the time we left, she pooped and it was like pure liquid. So it was gradually over the course of this week, she ended up getting diarrhea, and she did get diarrhea. And so I was dealing with that and the fever. So I was giving her Pedialyte. I had been giving her just, breast milk, Pedialyte, still eating her salad. She's still been eating really well. I was also concerned about her weight because we went there on January 28th for constipation because she really was constipated. And they gave her an enema. It's about the second enema she's had in her life. And she was 16 pounds, 2 ounces. And then prior to that, on January 9th, when she got her 6 months shots, she was 14 pounds, 12 ounces. But then when we went on the 13th, the scale registered 14 pounds, 8 ounces. So to me, that's crazy because it's like, how is she losing weight? Since January, her 6-month visit, she started solids. I'm now feeding her solids twice a day. We started with once a day. Now it's up to twice a day. So she started solids. She's still eating as much or drinking as much breast milk. So I can understand how she would be losing weight. The doctor just kind of was like, and I'm like, no, I think we should be a little more concerned about that, And I said in her last visit, she was 16 pounds, 2 ounces. So the doctor said, well, that weight must have been off. And I'm like, even if it was off, in the prior weight, she was 14 pounds, 12 ounces. So she still lost some weight. She should be gaining. She didn't seem too concerned, which doesn't mean I'm not concerned. I'm still concerned because if she really is 14 pounds, 8 ounces, that puts her in the 10th percentile weight-wise, which is crazy. She's never been a big baby. She's usually in the 30 to 40 percentile. Sometimes she's dipped a little bit in the 20-something, but to be in the high 20s though, but to be 10 was crazy. So I actually think it's something wrong with their scale. Because Michaela feels heavier, like just with me holding her and carrying her around, she feels heavier. And so, yeah, maybe that's not a scientific way to take weight, but it just didn't seem like she had lost weight. I felt like she had gained weight. So I had my husband get on the scale and weigh himself. I didn't want to get on the scale and do it. I really don't want to know my weight. I have a doctor's appointment next week and I'll find out. But I did not want to know my weight right now. So I had my husband get on the scale, look at his weight, and then weigh himself with Michaela and see what the weight was. And first, he did it twice. Doing it twice is always crazy because the first time he did it, the weight came up that Michaela was 17 pounds, which I was like, okay, that makes sense. That's more of what we were thinking. Then he did it again and she came back at 14 pounds. So I'm like, really? So we know she's between 14 and 17 pounds, which is what I thought to begin with. Like, because the first one was 17 pounds was probably in line with what I was thinking she would be. But then he did it a second time. She came back 14 pounds. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I have no way to call it. I'm still feeding her. I'm, definitely am not going to stop feeding her because I'm concerned I want her to gain weight. But if she's 17 pounds, I'm not concerned about the weight. But if she is 14 pounds, then I am concerned about the weight. So I don't know. Sorry, nose is itching for some reason. Of course, when I get on camera, it would. So anyway, needless to say, I did not go to work on the 14th. And my maternity leave is not technically up until February 24th. So I did have some time to play around with. I chose to go back on a Friday because I didn't want that feeling of having to go back the next day. I was like, oh, I'll go back on Friday and then I don't have to go back the next day. And it was a long weekend, given that Monday's President's Day. So that was why I chose to go back on Friday the 14th instead of Friday the 21st, because Friday the 21st is my birthday. So I just figured I'll go back on Friday the 14th. I'll do a short week the following week because I'm taking Fridays off for a while after, well, now I'm just going to take them off. But that Friday the 14th would have been my only Friday for a little bit. And then this coming week, I would have worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I just pushed it back. I don't think my job was happy. I don't know. Who cares, right? Like, my name's not on the door. So, I mean, I don't know how they felt. It is very weird timing that she got sick, like, right before me going back. But I will say she had been very clingy and very irritable and wouldn't let me put her down all week this past week. And then she won't sleep in her bed, like, and I hate co-sleeping. I'm not knocking it for anybody who does it. I actually think it's great if you can do it effectively. I just can't do it effectively. Michaela doesn't sleep well with me. She tosses and turns, and she's constantly all over the place. So no one sleeps well when we co-sleep. I don't think there's anything wrong with it if you can do it safely and effectively and everyone sleeps well, but we've never been able to accomplish that except for maybe when she was really young. But now that she moves and she crawls, she has been all over, like she turns, well, she's been doing that way before crawling, but she tosses and turns. She's she's tossing and turning. She's all over the place. And then this past week, it's been like whatever times 10, like she's tossing because she's not feeling well. It's tossing and turning and waking up whining and crying like every hour to 2 hours. It's just been horrible. And she won't go in her bed, and the second I put her in her bed, she's up and crying, and it's been horrible. And not knowing the cause for her temperature hasn't been helpful. So when we brought her in, the doctor, and I mentioned to the doctor, oh, I'm supposed to go to work tomorrow. This was on Thursday. The doctor said, oh, she must have known. Like, she's throwing a little tantrum because she doesn't want mommy to leave. And I know the doctor was saying that kind of like joking, tongue-in-cheek, but it just kind of made me feel bad because I'm already feeling bad about leaving. And then I'm thinking, is this a possibility? Could she be sick because of that? Because she's not the only one who said that, right? Like, I mean, she said it, my husband said it, the nanny said it, one of my coworkers I was contacting, she has a son who's a little older than Michaela, but I contacted her, just to kind of, I guess, trade war stories. She mentioned it, and I'm like, is that a real thing? Could that be a real thing? Could Michaela have gotten sick because she knew that I was going back to work? Like, is that real? I hope that's not real. So I already feel guilty about it and bad about it. And I'm like, the last thing you have so much mommy guilt. The last thing you need is to have somebody then telling you, oh, well, she got, she's sick or not, because she doesn't want mommy to leave. Well, she did get a few extra days because here we go. I didn't go Friday. And listen, I'm happy to spend extra days with her, but of course I'd rather have her healthy than have some extra days. So I didn't go Friday. Today's Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. I have Monday off, and then the plan is to return on Tuesday. We'll see if we stick with the plan, but the plan is to return on Tuesday. And like I said, I didn't have to go back until the 24th, which is, not this Monday, the next Monday. But I was hoping to kind of go back on my own terms and kind of ease in, which is what I was going to do. So I do still plan, assuming she's fine, to go back on the 18th now, which is this coming Tuesday. I just, I don't know if this makes it easier or worse, like the fact that she's gotten sick right before I was supposed to go. Now I'm paranoid about her temperature. I've been taking her temperature constantly all weekend. It's been up and down. It did come back after leaving the doctor. It went back to 102. I have just been dosing her with Motrin and Tylenol, but I stopped because she didn't get any Motrin and Tylenol yesterday. I had been taking her temperature constantly every couple of hours, but it always seemed to be in a normal-ish range. But then I stopped. I stopped trusting my thermometers. I literally have 4 thermometers, and I had been using them. I have 2 rectal thermometers. I have a thermometer you can put on the forehead and ear. When we were in the doctor's office, they were doing it in her ear. And then I have a thermometer that you can just point at an object and take the temperature. I also have some forehead strips that you put strips on her forehead, and they're supposed to tell you the temperature. So I have 4 thermometers and forehead strips. So I've been taking her temperature constantly. I know she's probably like, okay, lady, stop poking and prodding me, but I'm just so scared that it'll go back up because 103 and stuff, you get higher. You're getting in a dangerous territory and the child could have a seizure. So yesterday, her temperature, the highest it got was like 100.1. Now, when I was at the doctor, they explained to me that it is not considered a fever until it's over 100.4 in infants. So even though I would have thought 100.1 is a fever, it is not a fever in infants until it's 100.4 or more is a fever, but not 100.1. That's what I said, right? 100.1. That's what I meant. So she got to 100.1 and I did not give her any medication. I did put a cold cloth on her. I've still been giving her, or cool cloth, not cold. I've still been giving her fluids. But, constantly using Motrin and Tylenol can't be the answer either, right? And then it came back down, and then I took it today and it was like 97.8 or something. So I've only taken it once so far this morning. So, but I had taken it several times yesterday. I've been taking it like a crazy woman just because I'm so scared that it'll spike. But it seems to have broken. She did have the fever Friday, but Thursday, so she had it started Wednesday night. She had it all day Thursday. She had a slight fever on Friday, but Saturday, it didn't seem, well, Friday, she really didn't have too much of a fever. It was probably earlier in the day. And then it seemed like the rest of the day, her temperatures were coming back in a normal range, but I still was giving her the Motrin and Tylenol. But now, but Saturday, I didn't give her any, and assuming it stays fine, I won't give her any. If she develops a fever again, we're going back to the doctor. She did say to come back to repeat the flu test. If the fever continued, she said in the early stages, you could get a false negative on the flu test. But again, Michaela hasn't been exposed to anyone who has the flu, and if she does have the flu, she got it from the flu shot, which they say is not possible. And we're supposed to go back in 2 weeks for a booster on the flu shot, because in infants, I guess, they have to get 2. They get the original shot and a booster. I guess children do too. I don't know. When I've gotten a flu shot, I've never had to get 2, so I didn't. Even when I was pregnant, I never got 2. So I did get the flu shot, but I never got a booster, so I didn't know you got a booster. So she's supposed to get a booster in 2 weeks. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do it. I'm on the fence. Should I get it? Should I not get it? Like, did it cause this? I don't know. It's kind of unexplained. A lot of people have been saying they think it's teething. And a lot, my mom said it, my husband's mom said it, like various friends of mine have said it. And maybe it is. I don't know. She has one tooth, and it is the lower central incisor, I think it's called. It's the lower front teeth in the middle, center teeth come in first, and that's usually what's common, and she has the one on the left. Maybe she's cutting the one on the right, but I don't feel it and don't see it yet. But the one on the left isn't fully in. It's about halfway in, I guess. And so she has that tooth and somewhat. And so, but she didn't have any issues with cutting that one. So I don't know if she's cutting a new one or if it's just the fact that that one's still growing in. I mean, this could be teething, but I didn't know that teething came with such a high fever. I thought it was more like low grade fevers, not like 103 and send you to the hospital type fevers. But interestingly enough, my coworker, whose son is a year old, he, on the same day as Michaela, he had 103.4 fever. This is when I was texting, and he had 103.4 fever as well, but she said she thought it was because his molars were coming in. She did not take him to the doctor. She just gave him Motrin. She said, it broke his fever, so she was fine with it. But I'm like, is that normal to have those type of temperatures with teething? That's crazy and scary. Michaela hadn't had any issues before, so this is the first time she's ever really been sick. We've had some constipation. She had jaundice when she was first born, but never really any illness. And so this is the first time we've had anything. And it is super scary, and I'm not good in these situations. I start to panic, and I'm like, ooh. Like, it's funny because I have a really high pressure jobs, and I've been in high pressure environments, but see, I felt like those are things I know or I can control, but this was like beyond my control, and I don't know what to do, and I just freak out and panic. I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm not good in those situations at all. My husband's a lot better in them, but I was just like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Go to the doctor. Like, I'm like a chicken with my head cut off. I got this. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm just not. At work, if something comes up, I've always been better at it because I can strategize. And listen, it's never life or death. Like, come on. This is why I'm not a doctor. I would be like, it's never, my job is high pressure, but it's not life or death. Like, it's money on the line, but listen, it's money. So I don't know. So that's where we are right now. It could be teething. She did have diarrhea. She has been waking up and not sleeping well, waking up, crying and whining in the middle of the night. I have been using the Zarbee's teething gel. I don't know if it does anything. People love it, but I haven't really seen anything. I've tried a frozen washcloth. She doesn't seem to like that. We do have teething toys. I've tried those. She chews on them. I've been giving her chamomile tea because that's supposed to help with a lot of things, including sleeping, digestion, teething, pain. Like, it's a whole host of things chamomile is supposed to help with. I've been giving her just a little bit. But again, nothing seems to work so far. I want to try ginger, maybe rubbing ginger on her gums. I did hear something about cloves or ground cloves, so I might want to look into that. I gotta figure out how you do it. I don't know. So I gotta find something because I don't know if she's in pain. I don't know what it is, but she's not sleeping. She is crying, whining, super clingy. I can't put her down. She won't go in her crib. She had the temperature, and she's over the diarrhea, I believe. Like, her poop has started to firm up. That lasted about maybe a day and a half to 2 days. But I've been giving her lots of fluids and Pedialyte and stuff, so that really was, I think, what helped. The doctor told us that you can give her as much Pedialyte as she can drink, even though she's only 7 months, and so she said that wasn't a problem. Pedialyte wasn't a problem. So that's really what's going on right now. And so plans change with babies. You never know what's going to happen. So I do still plan to return on Tuesday. And unfortunately, I'll have to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in a row, back to back. I wanted that, like, go for one day and not have to feel like I have to go the next day. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I'll keep you posted on what's going on. I don't know if it's teething. It could just be teething. It's crazy if it is teething with this type of temperature. But between the not sleeping, and it's really bad with the not sleeping, almost like a newborn. And we're not even at 8 months, and I know at 8 months they're supposed to go through an 8-month regression. So Jesus, with sleeping. So, up until 4 months, she was a great sleeper. Ever since 4 months, she's been off and on. Like, we got to a point that she was sleeping through the night again. And then, like, the last week, she just stopped. So, I don't know. She's not even just sleeping for the night. She won't even sleep. I'm getting an hour or 2 out of her. So, I'll keep you posted. And I think that's everything. I don't know. Could it be teething? Could it be the fact that she got stressed because I was stressed because I was going back to work? Could it be the flu? Could it be something else viral? I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. But the timing. Like, we had all this time, 7 months, and she's never been sick, and I could have ran into, been with her all day, every day. And it's like, really, now? I don't know. I'll talk to you soon, ladies.